Here I am back again. Just give me a moment here. I gotta get some things dialed in here. I just had a few thoughts that were rattling around in the old boxcar like a bunch of BBs. Eventually they collected, and I had some thoughts that I would get on this very unique time we are in. So that I gotta redo all my swag here on the thing, so I have the right thing here. Who am I? Anyway, welcome. Hope you had a good lunch. It's about noon. Noon. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. The moment I start to do this thing on my lunch break, because I'm a working stiff like everybody else, I get a phone call. They can wait. Anyway, who am I? I am ML. I run a website, a publication called ApeIt.Ink over on Substack. It's also its own website. That's if you're joining me from there, I would appreciate it if you could maybe mosey on over there. It's down in the description. Hopefully, if you see it somewhere around here. And I also do my this is also going out to my private channel on YouTube, personal channel, I should say, SofaKingJewish on YouTube. I also run a lighter-hearted kind of nerd entertainment kind of thing. No hard opinions on it. Just trying to find good, fun stuff to watch and review and cover with my partner in crime, Tom. But anyway, what's this spot? I had quite a few thoughts over this thing as this develops. And although nobody really knows anything, there are going to be signs, right? There are going to be signs. And what I'm referring to is the absolute historic. Oh my God. I've been talking like I'm surprised nobody can hear me here. Good grief. I've been talking into thin air here, right? Anyway, what is this? Again, hopefully you heard me. If not, I'm ML. I run a little website publication called ApeIt.Ink over on Substack. It's also its own standalone website. What am I doing here? I've had quite a few thoughts going on in my head just this over the last few days. And I think mostly the pundits have said what they're going to say. And of course, what I'm referring to is the historic disastrous debate. One of like would have been the famous televised ones with Kennedy and Nixon, like where people who heard it, they say Nixon won, and people who saw it say Kennedy won because of the optics that new thing. Well, just like that was groundbreaking way back in the early 60s. We have our own in 2024. A very historic. Never before have we ever seen a presidential candidate who's had 50 years of public service freeze like Joe Biden did. He froze. He was incoherent. He is obviously mentally not there. He might be there maybe 40% of the time, if that. We don't really know because the White House has purposely prevented us from seeing that. And as I go through here, I am just getting messaged out of the fly here. Sorry, I am working, so I have to pay attention here a little bit. Okay, that's who cares? All right. Anyway, going back. Anyway, all this to say, historic debate. If you haven't seen it or watched it, doesn't matter. 50 million Americans did tune in to see it. Hundreds of more millions of Americans. You couldn't go 5 feet if you were a living, breathing human being and not run into this thing that happened. I am covering this live here, and I'm going to go through some. We're going to go through the tail of the tape. What that means. There are going to be signs, like I was saying before I realized I didn't have my mic going. There will be signs that there is only one final conclusion that we can go to, that the Biden campaign is slowly meandering its way. I will cover the what I on the back end, but I did want to take some time here and show. Well, I might not be able to show it here per se, but basically what we see here. And I'll just cover from the top of my head. I don't really need news articles or whatever to show me. Last few days, since the aftermath, the fallout of the disastrous debate, the Biden campaign has been in its worst news cycle it's ever found itself in. Probably the only other thing that was worse than that would have probably been the Afghanistan thing. and then probably not directly. I mean, direct news that they cause or created because of them. The only other ones that were probably disastrous in the news cycle were when Trump got a bump from his felony conviction, horseshit felony conviction, by the way. Not going to stand the test of an appeals, and if it does, who gives a shit? Because it's so small and such a nuisance thing. So in the last few years, it's either been one big Biden story that was positive, or one big Trump story that was positive for him. And of course, this thing can go either way. But the last time that Biden had to face a firing squad, where you had the weeks, you could tell in this thing. Obviously, if you've been an adult for any past one election, and you pay attention to the news or politics even lightly, you can see like when a big machine, the big machine for whoever's in power, whoever's the party, they prep, they start to do they start to do their artillery. They start to soften up the hardened positions that they want to flank, or that they want to roll up to. And that could be expectations. That could be the battleground. It could be a hardened opponent, like a Donald Trump. Like they have the Trump camp overall, whether when he was in power and when he was out of power, and the Biden camp, the Democrat camp at large. Biden is the Democrat camp essentially right now. We can effectively say that up to this point in time. They both do it, right? So you, in the weeks that were leading up to this, you had a kind of a tempering, lowering the temperature for the expectations that Joe Biden's performance from the White House press secretary, the DNC, his handlers, all the pundits, Pelosi, you had all them making the rounds, softening up the expectations part. They didn't really lean into it too hard like they have in times past. And of course, that could have absolutely blown up in Donald Trump's face. He took when Biden came out and said, "Hey, bud," he did a little kind of promo, or a little kind of like one shot or diss track or whatever you want to call it, clapback, and said, "Sure, let's do a debate. Let's do two of them. Here are the rules." Donald Trump took him up on that. Now, some of the things I'm going to cover are kind of off the top. You have had you have had the start where Doggett, a Congress member from Maine, I believe, Maine or Massachusetts, one of the, it doesn't really matter. He was the first public official to go on TV, make the news rounds in this news cycle, and say, "Hey, we need to get Joe Biden needs to get on down the road. We need somebody else. He can't do it." He's the first one to have done that. As we see in the background, if a Biden, in my opinion, in my semi-professional, amateurish political opinion, somewhere in there, in my opinion, if Biden is going to be swapped out, or if he's going to do anything with anything, we're going to know by this Sunday. And I say that because of a few things. One is Doggett he's the first Congress Democrat elected official to start making those comments. There's been numerous reports from CNN, MSNBC, as well as a whole cornucopia of left-leaning center publications that have been reporting for days now that there's been talk in the background about what the Democrats are doing. Of course, it is the focus of this news cycle. It's not going away. I think that there are some people in the Biden camp that think that this will all blow over, or that the debate performance, if they're leaning really hard right now, they're leaning really hard rhetoric-wise, communications-wise, on the stat or the observation that really, truly, no debate performance has really done some candidate in. And that would be true. That would be true in normal circumstances. But one thing, ever since COVID, really the Trump era, we haven't had a normal political cycle in quite some time. Some aspects of it they do go normal. The Republicans haven't had it. You had a whole, I could go a whole litany of things of underhanded, cheap, dirty tricks that Democrats have done at large. But basically, getting to the point here, you have many in the media sphere, the mainstream media sphere, center left-leaning, that are really hammering the Biden administration to get the hell to step down. Step down, do something else. If you do it now, we have time to fix the disaster from the debate, which we still don't know. We still don't know. We still don't know what the overall impact is. We know that it's negative. It's just, is it nuclear radioactive, toxic, or is it something manageable that you could? It's a disaster. It's just a dump, but there's no radiation. There's no fallout from it. And I don't think that's true. Anyway, going back to my point about leaning on the rhetoric, the Democrat camp leaning on the side of, well, people have debates all that time, and that's true in normal election cycles, but this is far from a normal election cycle. The Democrats are between a rock and a hard place. If you've been alive and above ground with a pulse, you have no doubt heard over the last several years, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, all that jazz. I won't go into all of it, but basically it boils down to, if Donald Trump is elected president for a second term, the end of America will happen, the end of democracy, or some such thing, which is of course ridiculous. Normal people know that that's ridiculous. People aren't buying it. Maybe they were buying it before, when you had the horsepower and the firepower of a whole January 6th committee and all that stuff. But the Democrats didn't even follow the recommendations from their own committee. Bipartisan committee, excuse me, with one very flaccid and weak, who got kicked to the curb, Lynn Cheney, who gives a shit about what she says. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I shouldn't tear that apart, because it's not the main aim here. I just can't help but take a shot or two. Anyway, the weeks following up, you had Karine KSP, whatever her name is, the gay, lesbian, black person of color, secretary, press secretary, yammer on and on and on about how the GOP and the right wing, it's a right wing conspiracy. And don't believe your eyeballs because of these cheap fakes. That they charge that the right side of the house in American politics is the one that is has sinister motives and edits and manipulates and gives fake fake video things of Joe Biden freezing the fuck up and screwing up royally. Where he just he's an old man. He walks around like he's 90. Okay, we all have older people in our house. That's not to disparage him. That's just a point of fact. And obviously every other day comes out, people are starting to analyze that whole left-leaning mainstream media and center media who are focusing on this. Politico is hard. They're deep in the cut to get rid of Biden. Also CNN, MSNBC. It's not just Fox News. So you can't just say that it's Fox or the right blah blah blah. The blogosphere on Twitter or something, or right-leaning. That's not the issue here. The issue here is that they're starting to examine little minutia, things that were said in passing over the last few months, rolling up to anything to do with his health, Biden's health, that his official people said. Any press releases. He just had his physical in January. He did not have a cognitive test. That is these little minutia of datums of iotas of data are starting to mount up, and they're not letting go of them. And what does this all mean? Anyway, kind of going, I'm a little bit all over the map here a little bit, but you had Doggett, who came out and said we need somebody else. You have people on the back end there's definitely a conversation going on, obviously, at the highest levels of Biden, whatever. You had a tone deaf, very bad PR photo shoot with Jill Biden from Vanity Fair wearing a $50,000, doesn't really matter, like way more money than some people make in a whole fucking year. And then in that article, she's talking about how she enjoys the power, how she used the motorcade, how it's really cool that they can just slide in and out of traffic, and there's some other things there too, but it makes her tone deaf, makes her completely tone deaf. It makes the optics. The Biden camp they're fucked. Again, they've had their worst series of news cycles connected from the debate since then. They had a hammering with the immunity ruling, partial immunity if you're president for official acts for the Supreme Court. That should surprise no one. The left is really, really trying to make that into something. They haven't been successful, definitely in their own echo chambers. But anyway, some signs that that something is going to happen big. I can't say with 100% certainty that Joe Biden is going to be swapped out. Personally speaking, I don't think he should, just because I think that he deserves to lose. I believe that the Democrats need to have their asses stomped, as insofar as the presidential election in America. Now it is what it is, but they have lied to us over and over and over again. And they've tried to gaslight people and over and over. I don't pick your grievance with the Democrats, whether you're on the right or the left or the center. Who cares? Whatever. Obviously, have mine. I will never vote for Joe Biden ever. I hope that he stays in power. I hope that he stays the nominee so that they can absolutely get the shit kicked out of them come November. That's my personal take. Some might not feel that way. Whatever. Who cares? I might vote for Trump. I might not. Whatever. But I do know one thing. Joe Biden told me on that debate, the few words that he did manage to string together that made sense, is that he said, if you vote for Trump, and by virtue of being, if you abstain from voting for president, you are the enemy. You are voting against democracy. Meaning, if you don't vote for Biden, then America will crumble and all this other horse shit, which is just hilarious. Anyway, some signs that you know that Biden is probably not gonna make it as the nominee or the candidate, more or less. Nobody, usually if a Democrat member, a caucus member, steps out of line from their camp, like Doggett did, they get hounded. They get nailed into the ground. That has not happened. Nobody's touched it. Now, one of two things: if there is steam there, more people will come on board. I did hear a thing about privately, nobody's willing to break cover yet, except for that Doggett guy from Maine or Massachusetts. I think it's Maine. Nobody's had the balls to kind of step out. Now, Nancy Pelosi has said a few keywords. She's changed her wording on a couple things to be a little bit more flexible in the future. She does that whenever that's a typical Nancy Pelosi thing that she does. She's not even in power. But she definitely is in power as far as the Democrats are concerned. But as far as it goes, they're starting to crack. You're starting to see kind of these things crack. Joe Biden has a 2-night interview set with George Stephanopoulos from ABC News on supposed to be Sunday and Monday. Hilarious. The fact that they need 2 days isn't because he's trying to fix things. It's so that he'll have enough gas in the tank and he won't look like he fucking looked on the debate. That's why it's 2 days. Otherwise, it'd be a fucking day. It'd be Sunday night, whatever, roll on. So you know something's up there. You also know something up is there when you see you see little sparks of it. The left is trying to pivot hard. They're trying to find any other story in the news cycle that will give them something to take the eyes off of Biden. They're trying it. I've seen over the last day or so the focus back on Jack Smith says that he's special counsel to the DOJ and the case is still on, even though pretty much everything got frozen and put on hold. His New York sentencing was supposed to be July 11th. That's been pushed to the earlier part of September. So I think September 13th, something like that. That's already a win for Trump. These are all good things for Trump. Basically, there are no more trials or court worries that that it's going to get in the way between Donald Trump and campaigning between now and the end of the year, unless there's like some new thing that happens. But even then, we're time locked. It takes months, if not weeks, for anything, a court case to work out or whatever. So all these meteorites, these asteroids that have been circling and orbiting planet Trump, ready to fall from orbit and just knock them out of orbit, so to speak. Horrible analogy, I guess. They're all way farther away, and Trump is in a very good safe zone right now. Nothing in the court system is going to happen to Donald Trump between now and November 1st, or excuse me, November 5th. That's just how it is. But I find it very interesting that nobody on the Democrat side has come out and refuted what Doggett said, basically saying Biden get out. It's not just him. He's just the first public official that elected Democrat to have the balls to say what's the obvious is, which is step down. If you really want to have a chance to beat Donald Trump in November, it's not doing what you're doing now. The other thing, too, is whatever they decide, whether Biden stays or he goes, doesn't really matter. I think what's going to happen is that you're going to see we're this week. We're getting a little bit delayed, slow down of poll numbers. But next Monday, next Tuesday, next Wednesday, they're all going to be out, and it's going to paint a very good picture for Trump. If you're Trump, it's going to be very, very good for you in the long term. All of a sudden, we're not just worrying about battleground states. No. That's not what is in play right now. Battleground states, go to Trump. They were already leaning for Trump. They're going to go to Trump. That's just a fact of life. Now, who knows? Donald Trump could have a big major blow up, but that's just not something you can bank on. He has had in the past, the Democrats really typically are the ones that kind of like just let him go and do his thing because he inevitably says some boneheaded thing, which gets some of it gets played out of turn from the media. They make a mountain out of a molehill, really. But there are other ones that stick around and just kind of cling to him, like a turd hanging on sometimes. But that's Donald Trump. But we're already kind of all used to all of that. Nothing of substance is going to happen between now and November that will displace Donald Trump from his seat. But Joe Biden, on the other hand, it's a whole different ballgame. Nobody's come out to repudiate Doggett or Doggart, excuse me. And you also have this kind of this panicking that's happening on all the news thing. When the left-leaning media is calling for you to step away, and you have to have in the background privately, we've had reports that Biden has had to do a esprit de corps, kind of get the feeling up because right now they're so below ground it's not even funny. Can you imagine being a campaign worker and seeing this and seeing that and not having clarity or a sure way? And it doesn't matter what Biden has said since the debate. He's only said that on paper. He's had a few moments in front of the camera, but none of those are all just clips. He's not taking any questions. He still looks amazingly weak and frail, as a candidate ever could look. It's not good. But you had this campaign call to kind of shore up the spirit of the thing. I don't really think it's moving the needle for people internally there. They're saying the Biden is claiming that he's in this race to the end. Well, what does that mean? Well, the end doesn't mean him becoming president. The end could be in 2 weeks, or it could be this Sunday or Monday or whenever he announces. He said, "I'm in this race to the end." So that doesn't mean anything. That's an official quote that he was put on that call. People that are reporting, and his press secretary right now is doing a live announcement here. And I would break in, but I really don't want to give her the time of day because she's not going to say anything but spout lies. So might as well do the same thing that they did to Trump, which is anytime anybody came on and talked about Trump, they censored him. They censored them, or they cut him off, or they cut the mic, or they whatever. So fuck them and their bullshit the way they play. I can play that too on my channel. This just a little bit of a thing. The thing here is that the American president belongs to America. It doesn't belong to a corporation. It doesn't belong to a party. It doesn't belong to a nation state that is not America, obviously. It belongs to us, we the people. And when the Democrats finally get that and they understand that, whenever the hell that is, it's at some point it's going to resonate in their head and they're going to get with the program. I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe they insanely think that the Biden, and if they keep Biden, that's fine. That is fine. But it pretty much it's going to be Donald Trump winning in a landslide or winning in a landslide, because there is no winning with Biden on the ticket. But don't tell the Democrats that. Don't interrupt them. Anyway, I had some thoughts here. You also have like the longer they wait to fix this publicly, and one interview or 2 days or even 5 days of wall-to-wall interviews might start to dig them out of the hole that they're in. But really, not really. He's only Sunday, Monday, and those are only going to be for weak spots that the White House controls. I'm not sure they're going to get enough footage out of it to make a damn bit of difference. You just don't see anybody moving with alacrity or with purpose in the Democrat circles that looks like they know what the hell is going on. It's only going to get worse. And even when they do put the cover back on and get ready to go back out and campaign and resume the race, because the race is paused for them right now. Even if they do get all their shit together, I kind of mentioned it a little bit. It's not going to be the battleground states that they have to worry about. Those are all gone. They're done. It's going to be their backyard. It's not necessarily the hardcore blue areas that, like, California is never moving. Okay, it'd have to be even more substantial to this for California to go in the Republican column. It really would. I don't think that's going to happen. But the light blue states, the ones that were for sure Democrat, those are all in play now. It's not just the battleground states. It's all the light blue states, the ones that border them, the ones that are on the fence. And you even could be, I personally think that New England is a little bit weaker and susceptible to being, you might even have a flip. We won't know this until it actually happens, but the poll numbers might get us there. Yes, it's true. The poll numbers do not mean anything until about September, especially if it's a tight race like it was. This is no longer a tight race. Not for sure. No, nothing's for sure. So that's why everybody's kind of circling back to the polls, back to the polls, back to the polls. So what do they say? What are the trends? What are the things? What are there? There's going to be a whole bunch of dust kicked up. It's not going to stick between this poll or that poll. It's going to be some bullshit, no name fucking poll that the Democrats pull their asses. They see nothing bad happened since the disastrous debate. Anyway, you have this momentum that is building. The Democrats are really, really in a bad place. Even the diehard people that are pro Biden and that they are on their rhetoric game, that I have seen anecdotally in my private circles, and people that are like, even their rhetoric has fallen. The usual heavy hitters that I see have been silenced. If they do put something out, they put something very blasé and very generic and very high-minded, high moralizing. They try to reiterate the facts of the thing. Convicted felon, nobody gives a shit. The morals of an alley cat. That's what Biden called Trump to his face in the debate. That's not working. It's not working. It's just not working. So I do think that if they're going to swap them out, if it does happen, it'd be Sunday, Monday. Who knows? Their convention isn't until August. That's kind of scary for them. It's scary for a number of reasons, because that's a lot of time regardless of whatever happens, whether they do or they don't, they're losing time. They're losing time every day that passes. Now, we're not down to like where the days that count necessarily matter, but we are down to the wire to like where weeks matter. If you lose a whole week from this whole thing and you can't change the discussion or change the narrative, which they've been unable to do, and they won't be able to do for a very long, they won't be able to do. It's not possible. The people saw what they saw. There's no spinning that can change that thing. If they don't start getting serious about what the hell they're going to do and commit to action, if this really is doubling down on Biden, tripling down, quadrupling down on Biden, and they're not going to change it, that's one thing. But you don't see him doing any kind of campaign stops, and maybe he is lightly. But the second that they decide that they're going to put foot to the ground and do the campaign thing again, is going to be. And I guess I should have checked. No, you have to reach a certain number here for the chat. I was just seeing if there was anybody out there. Anyway, there's not. That's okay. This is always evolving. This is Wednesday check-in. I might do a Thursday or Friday. Well, I won't do it tomorrow, but maybe a Friday or Saturday, maybe even a Sunday check-in, 2 Sundays from when we got hit by that asteroid, or excuse me, that the planet Biden got hit by that asteroid. And we'll see. I know a lot of people are going to be watching and looking, but it is what it is. But the Democrats, you guys deserve everything you get. You really do. You really do. Stick with your man. Why? If democracy truly is on the line and in peril, then do something with Biden. Put his brain in a jar like Futurama. Being a little bit flippant here, but anyway, I've been ML. Please check me out on ApeIt.Ink. That's my publication of record. It's on Substack as well. Kind of got a really cool buzzy thing going there. That really deep, really smart people trading back and forth. Not just the usual bickering and partisan fighting and infighting. I'm also available on Twitter. Same name, ApeIt_Ink. If you want to catch me there, or YouTube, that's fine too. SofaKingJewish. I cover things that are heavier, of note, things that are opinion based, things that are political based, some things are current event based. This is kind of wrapped all up into one. But I've been Mike, ML, and I'll see you on the campaign trail.